Yo, what is going on with y'all? It's your boy NeoXO coming back at y'all with another Black Clover video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Black Clover Chapter 342. Now, this chapter was very good. In this chapter, we get the tragic backstory of Yami's clan. Now, Yami's clan is descendants of a group of assassins known as the Kijin. These Kijin were very skilled warriors, and they went through a lot of battles, and that's pretty much how they made a name for themselves. And over time, of course, they had descendants, and politics and things came into play as the land of the sun was being developed. And we get a shot of the land of the sun. We see the whole continent, and it seems like it was pretty much divided into regions. These regions were ruled over by different families, and Yami's clan was in charge of the region that the Ryudu family pretty much resided over. So that's like Ryu and his family. So there is a legend in this land that, according to their history of their country, now this is something that isn't really verified right now, but the way I'm interpreting it, like, I'm going to say this is quite literal. So according to their legend, there was a 5-headed dragon, and it was going crazy. It was on a rampage throughout the entirety of the land of the sun, until one day it was dealt with by a celestial maiden. And this figure, this celestial maiden, is really made out to be kind of like angelic. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but that's what I kind of see, because the way it's drawn, it's look like symbolism, like she's coming out of the sky to vanquish the evil, and then the dragon is vanquished. So now the blackness from the dragon went into the sea. And like I said, this is something that people are gonna interpret as just a legend that didn't really happen. But it kind of reminds me of the legend of the first Wizard King defeating Demon Licht. That's what it kind of reminds me of. The history of their nation I enjoy how it's being developed. It kind of like just expanded upon the land of the sun. Like, we get history, and Yami's clan was a big part of their history. Now, they are descendants of these assassins, and they pretty much all wield swords. Like I said, they pretty much fight similarly. So we cut across and we see Yami as a kid training with his father. Right off the bat, his father seems very abusive, and Yami seems very strong. And I say that because there's this scene in this chapter where Yami's dad is very drunk. He's a drunken man. That's made very apparent in this chapter. So it shows why Yami might be hardened the way that he is. He had a rough childhood, seems like to me, but he was very powerful, and he ended up doing some things that were morally ambiguous. And I'm gonna get into that a little more in a second. Now, Yami's father seems like he doesn't care about the history and what they're there to do, which is protect this region. And he's just training Yami to be a beast, and he wants Yami to be very powerful. Now, whenever he looks at Yami's little sister, he does not see power. He just sees someone who basically is there and possibly caused their mother's death. So he goes ahead and he tries to hit Yami's little sister, and that's when we get serious Yami. Very consistent with Yami's character. If someone is helpless and cannot defend himself, Yami will be their sword and be there to defend them. Now, Yami straight up calls out his father. He's like, "Look, man, that's enough. You are a shitty father." And it's the truth. But this actually pleases his father, who bursts out into laughter. And the reason this pleases his father is because of the simple fact that Yami was able to stop that blow and push him back. So that shows that his son is even more powerful, or has even more potential than him. So that pleases him, at least for the moment. He goes back to drinking his alcoholic beverages. Now, Yami goes ahead, he leaves with his little sister and they go fishing. They catch a puffer fish, pretty cool. Everyone's around Yami. They're like, hey man, you got a real talent for fishing. And he does. Now, this story goes back to the beginnings of Black Clover. Yami was said to be fishing and then washed ashore on the Clover Kingdom. He just got washed ashore. Now, this doesn't seem like it's a fishing village or anything like that. It just seems like it's just a little hobby that Yami has, because his real purpose was to be kind of an heir to his clan. But that didn't go as planned, obviously, because he ended up in an entirely foreign nation. So we see Ryu younger, and this just goes to show that Ryu and Yami were friends. The way that they're speaking together is really familiar with each other, and Ryu kind of is like their version of royalty, if you want to put it like that. But something that Ryu says in this chapter parallels to Asta and Yami, in my opinion. Now, what he says in this chapter, Neo, what did he say? He says, I don't care what your status is or how much Yorioku you got. What I want is for everyone in this country to live and laugh together as equals. Now, guys, doesn't that sound like a certain someone named Asta? This is why I believe Yami was persuaded into allowing Asta to join his squad, because it reminded him of Ryu. It's a very similar goal. And that may be why Ryu has taken a liking to Asta as well. It's something that they both share in common. Now, Yami says you got to be pretty ignorant of the world to have a dream like that. But then he smiles and says, but still, I can't hate you for it. Those type of dreams, he's pretty much all down for those. You know, he's showing his good spirit. That's why what happens next in this chapter is so surprising. Because Yami's sister says what we've been thinking. She was like, I also thought the same way, but his words were false. He was just like father said he was. He was the same as father. No, he was even more a Kijin than father. At the age of 13, that man murdered his own father and his entire clan. So here we have it, guys. Yami allegedly murdered his own father and his entire clan. And we do have a shot, like the shot is basically of his sister and Ryu looking at Yami over the corpses of his dead clan, with Yami having his sword drenched in blood. So that looks pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. That looks pretty bad. Like, Yami, you have to explain this. Now, she goes on to say, after that, he abandoned us, running away to live in a foreign country with people like you. Directing that towards Asta. Asta's, clearly taken aback by this. He's shook. He's like, that sounds crazy. And then he goes on to say that must be some type of mistake, because the Captain Yami that I know would never do something like that. And he backs up Captain Yami. He says, I believe in Captain Yami. I've seen him with my own eyes. And then that ticks her off. She's like, don't screw with me, you cretin. I told you I saw it with my own eyes. It is the truth. And she did see something with her own eyes, because like I said, the scene that I just described to you guys with Yami with a blood-drenched sword, that looks pretty damning if you ask me. But Asta continues to defend Yami. He goes on to say, you've got it wrong. Even if you are Captain Yami's little sister, I refuse to back down on this. And then she says, in that case, show me the strength you've cultivated under that man. Basically saying, prove it to me. Prove in the Yami that you know. She says, this time I'm going to be going all out. Dark Yojutsu. Dark cloaked black Musha. And she gets basically into her battle ready form, and she says, "And I no longer care if it kills you." So she's gonna go all out. Asta's definitely gonna need to use some type of devil union. He's definitely going to have to put that training that he learned from his time being in this country, this foreign land. He needs to put that to the test right now, because it looks like she's in her most powerful form right now, and she's not playing any games, because we've seen her put Asta on his ass when she wasn't even using this form. So Asta is gonna have to be on his A game. If you ask me, she seems like the strongest member, or at least top 3, I want to say, of her country. So that right there is scary, but we're gonna see how Asta's training pays off. This form, I think it looks cool. It reminds me of Captain Yami a lot. You know, dark cloaked. You know, Yami uses techniques with dark cloaks. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and leave it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's been your boy NeoXO, and I'm out.